Hello, this video is about the algebra of functions. So what are the operations that we can actually do in algebra? Well, they are the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So below are two functions, and we can also do the same four operations with these two functions. But when we deal with functions as opposed to numbers, we have two more things that we can also do. We can also plug in a number into a function. And if we plug in a number, that is called evaluate a function, because we are looking for the value of that function. We can also plug in a function inside a function. And if we do that, that is called function composition. And so with our two functions, let's go through all the four operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and then also let's talk about the evaluation and the function composition. So here are the two functions. They're color-coded differently so we can tell them apart. If we are adding two functions, all we are doing, if we're adding f of x plus g of x, all we are doing is writing f of x, which is 3x minus 1, plus the g of x, which is x squared plus x plus 1, and then we combine like terms. So x squared is by itself, 3x with x makes 4x, and plus 1 minus 1 cancels off, and so we get x squared plus 4x. If we are minusing the functions, we follow exactly the same process. We write the function f of x minus the g of x, and then we minus them. The only difference is now when we are minusing, we're minusing not just the first term, we're minusing everything. So inside it, so it makes it easier to keep track of signs if we put the g of x inside the parentheses and put minus in front of the whole thing. That way we'll remember that that minus belongs to everything inside the g of x, and we won't make a mistake of only switching the sign of the x squared and leaving these two unchanged. So distributing the negative through, we are going to get 3x minus 1, and then negative x to the 2 minus x minus 1. Combining like terms, we get x to the 2, negative x to the 2. 3x minus 1x is plus 2x, minus 1 minus another 1 is negative 2. The next is multiplication. When we multiply f of x times g of x, we are simply writing them next to each other and multiplying through. So that would look like 3x minus 1 times by x squared minus x, plus x plus 1, and multiplying through, we can multiply and then simplify. So 3x times x squared is 3x cubed, 3x times x is 3x squared, 3x times 1 is 3x. Then negative 1 times x squared is negative x to the 2. Negative 1 times x is negative x. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. Combining all the like terms, we get 3x cubed. 3x squared minus 1x squared makes plus 2x squared. 3x minus 1x makes plus 2x. And then we just have negative 1. And that's the answer for multiplying. Division is exactly the same way. If we write them one on top of each other, and if we can reduce, then we do. And if we can't reduce, then we don't. In this case, there is nothing to reduce. So we can just write 3x minus 1 divided by the x squared plus x plus 1. And that is it. That's how to do the 4 main operations with the functions. Now, the notation can be different. Sometimes when we write these operations, this is one way to write them. We're just writing the functions with the operations in between them. The other notation to use is we leave the x outside and we simply write f plus g of x. So alternatively, all of these 4 operations could have been written as f plus g and then the x on the outside. These operations can be written as f minus g of x, and this would be f times g of x, and this would be f divided by g of x. So in a textbook, if we see any one of these notations, they mean the same thing that we just did over here. Now, for the plugging in a number or evaluating, let's evaluate f of 1. That means that in place of the x, we had f of x, which means inside of the function f, the letters were x. Now we have f of 1, which means replace all the x's with a 1. And if we do that, we're going to get 3 times 1 minus 1, which is 3 minus 1, or 2. So we have evaluated the function at 1. We can also do this with a g, and that would be called evaluation. We can plug in any number we can think of, as long as it doesn't turn our function into something impossible, like taking square root of a negative number, or divided by 0, or anything else like that. So that's evaluation. Now let's look at the function composition. So suppose we wanted to plug in one function inside another. The notation is either f of g of x, or the other way around, g of f of x. And what this means, this little circle is read as of. So it's g of f, or f of g. And what this notation means is the first letter is where to plug in, and the second is what to plug in. So what that means is into the function f, whenever we see, so here's the function f, which is 3x minus 1. Each time we see x, we're now going to put all of the function g, and that becomes 3, and then the function g, which is x to the 2 plus x plus 1, and then on the outside of it is negative 1. So this is the function composition, and we can simplify it, distributing the 3x to the 2 plus 3x plus 3 minus 1, which is 3x to the 2 plus 3x plus 2. Now, if we do the other way around, the g of f, that answer will be different. So switching the order makes a big difference. And if we wanted to see just how different that would be, let's have a look. Into the function g, each time we see the x, we're going to plug in all of the function f. So here is the function g. And it may be easier to simply rewrite the function g, and each time we have x, put empty set of parentheses, because that's where we're going to plug in the function f. And then each time we see the empty set of parentheses, we put in the function f, 3x minus 1, 3x minus 1. And once we simplify it, we'll get the final answer. We don't have to do that. But we can also plug in number inside of f of g, or g of f, either one. So let's say, for example, let's evaluate f of g of 1. That means each time we see x inside of our f of g, we plug in 1. Well, here is f of g of x, and it turns out to be 3x squared plus 3 plus 2. So one way to do that is to simply compute the f of g first, which is 3x squared plus 3x plus 2. And each time we see empty set of parentheses, we put in its value, which is 1, and that makes 3 plus 3 plus 2, which is 6 plus 2, or 8. And that's how to evaluate a function, or a function and a function composition. And that's basically what the algebra of functions is about. It's how to do the 4 operations that we have done with numbers, but now how to do them with functions instead. And that's all for this video. If you have any questions, please let me know. Take care.